I laid down. I drifted off for about 10 or 15 minutes. I just remember waking up. I tried to move my hands. I tried to move my feet. I couldn't move my eyes. I could look all around my room, and there's just this piercing white eye staring down on me. It was this black figure, and he had his hand reaching out towards me as if he wanted to touch me.
From the dawn of the spoken word, storytelling has been the backbone of human culture, warning of looming dangers and evoking our most personal fears. What you're about to hear are the real-life experiences of everyday people, brave enough to share their terrifying tales. Tales where the horror hits close to home. I'm your host, Danny. Welcome to the Hometown Horrors Podcast. Listen if you dare. How are things?
Good. I'm very excited. You don't really find people that want to talk about ghosts, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So when Tom told me about it, I jumped for the opportunity.
It's like speaking a special language to certain people. Because you'll tell a scary story to somebody and then they'll give you the look like, oh my God, maybe one or two times in my life, there was something so crazy and so weird, I couldn't explain it to anyone else and not feel crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you feel crazy anyway, because likely when that happened, you're by yourself and there's not enough words to get them to feel the same way you did when you were going through that. In some of the instances that I came across, I'm like, was this a dream? Was this real? But the way I process it is it can't be a dream if you remember every single thing down to the detail. I could be 50 and still tell you exactly what happened.
So I love weighted blankets, but because they are weighted, getting sleep paralysis becomes a lot easier. And it's like 2 times out of 10. I mean, 8 times you're going to have the greatest sleep you've ever had, but those 2 times you're going to have horrifically vivid nightmares. And since me and Olivia pulled out the weighted blanket about a month and a half ago, I've had like 2 to 3 just really intense sleep paralysis dreams after not having them for almost 2 years.
I've had 3 or 4 instances where as soon as I could get possession of my body again, I darted up the steps. And I'm talking like 3 flight of steps in like 2 minutes. It's not fun. So we were in this typical townhouse, normal neighborhood, suburban neighborhood. My sister, she had just moved out. We shared a room all the way up until we were like 18. So this is my first instance of, oh my God, I get my room to myself. So of course, like any adult, you want the basement room. It has its own sliding door. I can come in and out. So that particular instance, I make my bed. I did drink coffee, but coffee doesn't affect me to the point where like it makes me stay up. So I was still sleepy and I laid down. I drifted off for about 10 or 15 minutes. And I just remember waking up. I tried to move my hands. I tried to move my feet. Now, the crazy part was I couldn't move my eyes. I could look all around my room, and there's just this piercing white eye staring down on me. So inwardly, my thoughts aren't words. It's just me screaming. It was this black figure. The jacket that he had on was burnt brown, and it went all the way down to his feet. He had on these boots, and he had his hand reaching out towards me as if he wanted to touch me. He was slowly, the slowest you can go, making his way towards me. So the way the basement split off, there were these 2 wooden pillars, and my bed was in between the openings. So I could literally see his body, and he wasn't a ghost because his body was solid. So on one hand, I'm like, is someone in my room? And then on the other end, I'm like, I can't move. It has to be sleep paralysis. So when I was able to finally snap out of it, I sat straight up. The feeling I had was that it was a dream, even though I know that it wasn't a dream, if that makes sense. But because nothing was there, I just chucked it up to a dream, and I ran upstairs and tried to explain to my mom what happened. Naturally, my dad ran downstairs thinking a grown man was in the basement. And what kind of led up to that happening was a week before that, I had took a shower upstairs on the 3rd floor, came downstairs in my towel. Now picture the sliding door in the basement having broken blinds. If someone walked up to our basement door, which you freely could in that neighborhood, we didn't have like a fenced-in yard or anything, they can see in my room. And that's exactly what happened. There was peeping Tom. He kept peeping through the trees, looking at me, and like I screamed. And I shook my head. And then when I looked back up, he was knocking on the door. He said, "Let me come in. I just want to apologize to you." I think I was already scared of being down there,
It was like the fear had manifested and just became real.
Absolutely. But here's the freaky thing about the brim hat. I found his picture. He's real. I went on Google and I started typing in the description of what I saw. And actually, a documentary came out about sleep paralysis and other people seeing the same figure.
In episode 8 of the show, a close friend, Fransalis, actually saw almost exactly what you were describing.
All I remember is he just had all white eyes. I couldn't see his cheeks. I couldn't see his mouth. He was just this black 6-foot man standing beside my twin-size bed, leaning to try to touch me.
And that would make sense, too, because being seen is a fear you had very recently.
Yes, absolutely. So I shifted my rooms in the house. My dad didn't want me down in the basement anymore, just for safety. And so I took a bedroom upstairs. So I had just came in the house, got out of my clothes, and got into my bed. There's no fear. There's no reason I should have slipped into sleep paralysis. And for some reason, this is the story that I told you about the demon that sat on my chest. He was all gray. I can make out everything because my lights were on. I cannot sleep in the dark. He had vampire teeth. They were very, very long. He was short. He was in a ball, and he was holding his legs. So he's sitting on my chest, and it felt like the weight of an elephant. I'm literally not able to move my body, and I'm like trying to breathe, and I could not get any air in at all. For some reason in my mind, I just thought to say Jesus, and I literally just sat up straight like the Exorcist girl. Freakiest thing ever. And I found his image as well.
Yeah, did you say it was an incubus? That's like, I guess, the male version of like a succubus?
Incubus, yes. It freaked me out because there's just nothing you can do about it. You just have to kind of sit there and take it. And when I woke up, I ran into my mom's room and I slept on her floor. And then my last sleep paralysis, this was the last one because I started to learn I easily fall into sleep paralysis when I'm sleeping on my back. So I can 100% say since 2012, I have not slept on my back. I sleep on my side or I sleep on my stomach. That's how fearful I am. This was the one I was telling you about, these figures, about 3 or 4 of them. And they're all shadowy, smoky gray, 6-foot figures. And they all were moving, glitchy, moving towards me. One was in the hallway. And then the other 3 were in my room. The sucky part about this is the light was off. So I'm just seeing these 4 shadowy, glitchy figures inching and glitching towards me. And at this particular time, I had brought a clothes rack up from the basement area to put my clothes on. One glitched from behind the clothes rack right into my face, and I sat straight up.
It's almost like a strobe light in the dark.
Oh my God, Danny. That night I cried. I literally started to question myself. I'm like, is something after my soul? Like, did I do something to wrong someone? Is there a hex out on me? And like I said, these things happened in 2012, and I remember them this vividly. I feel like if I go to sleep on my back, I do feel like I could easily fall into an episode, and I just don't know why that's the triggering thing for me.
Yeah, when I think about it, a lot of my most visceral sleep paralysis dreams have happened when I was sleeping on my back. I actually talk about it in the second episode. There's like a window with a curtain right next to my bed. And I had a dream that I was like laying on my back in the bed, exactly as the room would be, talking to something in the shadow of that curtain. And then, I wake up, I'm like, oh, that was weird. Just thinking on the dream for a moment. And a hand reaches out from the curtain and slaps the top of mine. I was like, like, what? Whoa, my God, what?
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps now. Like, what color were your curtains?
They were like a darker gray, but I mean, this is an entirely dark room with the light of a street lamp coming in a little bit. So you can see everything, but it's all dark. It's all different shades of dark.
I used to love sleeping in pitch black. Like, I would turn off all the lights and I would legit have the best sleep. And that's when those episodes started to happen. And now I'm actually 29 and scared of the dark.
No, that's perfectly fine because I've got an overactive imagination. The moment things are pitch black, I'm just staring at stuff. And then like you said, like there's a certain age where it's like, it can't be dark enough for me. And you do sleep amazingly. They say that even cell phone light on your eyes, like an hour before you go to sleep, is very bad for your quality of sleep overall. Any like light inside of a room while you're sleeping actually diminishes it. But oh my God, you have a dream in total darkness where after you have it, you're sitting there all frazzled and horrified. You can't tell whether you're still awake or asleep. That once you have that experience, never again.
I had 2 instances like that where my mom and we lived out Arbutus, Maryland. And in that particular house, you know how it is, like you're young, you don't pay the bill. So your parents are like, all the lights are going off. And so my sister and I at that time, I was probably no more than about 10 years old. We had bunk beds. I was on the top bunk. She was on the lower, and the hallway. You know how the smoke detectors, they have a green light that's always lit, and then they have a red light that periodically beeps. So I'm staring at the smoke detector because I'm wide awake and I'm just trying to fall asleep, normal kid. And the green light, not a blinking green light, there was something in that hallway walking back and
like
forth.
Something had blocked out the light. Oh my God.
Being a 10-year-old kid, I got under my blanket and I turned around to face the TV. And, think about an old school television where, it wasn't flash screens how we have it today. It's that really hard glass type of TV. You have to turn the dial pretty hard. There was an orb in the TV lighting up my room. And I'm like, the TV's off. Like, I know the TV's off. So I don't know if it traveled from the hallway into my room. It was pitch black. And you just see the oval just moving.
Did it seem like the glass itself was moving, or was it just like something underneath the glass?
It was just the oval moving in the TV in all different type of directions.
That's so scary. It's like an eye.
Yeah, there you go. My aunt, she purchased this house in Baltimore City, and she didn't know that it was built on top of a graveyard, which, Lord help me with
Never
that
a good
house.
sign. Yeah.
So we went to visit her because she had just graduated college, purchased her first house, and my grandmother's a minister. So typically her ordeal is to, bless a new home before you come in there. For whatever reason, she didn't get around to doing it, as well as when my aunt purchased the house, they did not disclose to her that it was built on top of a graveyard. So she's just living her life. She's young, just bought this house. And she said that one day she was in the house alone. That particular night, she felt something watching her. And I don't know what made her grab a camera, but as she turned around, this green demonic man. So the guy that I explained to you with the brim hat and the trench coat and the boots, it was the same exact man, but he was all green. Like
neon green, Scooby-Doo ectoplasm green.
Yes, exactly that color. And he's slowly walking towards her, and she is running through the house. From the kitchen, she ran up the stairs to her bedroom, and the entire time, she is snapping pictures of this thing following her. And she said to us, if my soul could have came out of my body, it would have, like, screaming as I was taking pictures of it because I knew you guys wouldn't believe me. So mind you, at this point, I'm like 13 years old. She shows us the pictures. Danny. She got pictures of it going through the door. And I'm getting goosebumps right now because I saw these pictures myself. There were different demonic faces. It was like 6 faces in one dresser. It was like 2 faces in the mirror. And they're all evil looking. My grandmother at that time still wasn't able to come in, bless the home or anything. So my mom told her, we'll spend the night with you here so that you won't have to be alone. I slept downstairs on the couch, scared attack, but trying to be a brave 13-year-old. And that night, all the lights went out. And so she had this huge TV that was downstairs. So it's just me and this TV, here I'm sleeping on the couch. I remember I turned to face the window and something was like, turn around. I turned around and that green guy was looking at me through the damn TV. Oh, when I tell you, I ran up those steps and I slept in my aunt's bed.
Was she like, oh my God, like, tell me about it? Or was she just like, okay, baby, come go to bed with me. It's okay.
Yeah, it was like, come to bed. But we did talk about it the next day. And I was just telling her, like, it's just so crazy because I was a free spirit. Like, I'm like, it's just me, myself, and I on this earth. There's nothing else here. And now I have a completely different view. I absolutely believe that the world is too big for it to just be us here.
I've interviewed other people who have family that are in the clergy. Do you find that they are like less likely to believe in things like ghosts and demons because they're like, this isn't part of God's design?
I think it's more they don't want to acknowledge it because it kind of goes against everything that they basically stand for.
Maybe,
you know, but to say that none of them have had any instances or anything like that.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm being real, I feel like if there are ghosts, that's even more evidence that there is an afterlife and, a God and like a, heaven and a hell.
Cold Case Western Australia is a new true crime podcast series produced on behalf of the WA Police Force Special Crime Squad. The series examines unsolved homicide cases, some dating back several decades, in the world's largest policing jurisdiction. You'll hear new case details and insights from the investigating detectives and forensic experts. There are now $1 million rewards attached to each unsolved homicide in Western Australia. You can listen to Cold Case Western Australia wherever you get your podcasts or by visiting the WA Police Force website.
The house that my husband lived in Hagerstown, Maryland, we went over there for a dinner, and I went to go use the bathroom, and I just remember coming out. I was looking down the hallway, and I swore out my peripheral. I saw something run upstairs, but when I went back downstairs and I sat down at the table, I had 3 scratches on my upper shoulder near my collarbone. And I told my husband's mom, this wasn't here before I got here. The strangest part about it was they weren't fresh. They scabbed up. And that's what freaked me out the most, because I'm like, I would have noticed days on end if I had scratches up there, especially if I'm putting on, a shirt where I'm not wearing a bra or anything like that. Just, one of those like open-ended shirts. And I showed my husband, he was freaked out because like that's the house he grew up in. When I would take pictures of my kids only at her house, some of the pictures came back distorted. And like, yes, toddlers move, but typically the iPhone does a great job at capturing what it can and making out the situation. I'm talking like my son's face was completely like blank, distorted, and twisted. I was like, babe, don't you think this is a little creepy? And my husband's not into these kind of things, so he'll just dismiss it like,
he just shuts it out entirely. He doesn't even entertain it as a possibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think helps.
For me, yeah, because I'm like scared of my own shadow. So yeah, for sure it helps. But I'm like, I'm the one that took the picture, and I know how my child was being in that moment. He wasn't being crazy. He wasn't flipping out. Furthermore, everything else in the picture is still. My face is still. My husband's face is still, but only my child's face was distorted. So I personally believe there is something there. I don't know what it is. And then she has this cat that would go up on the first step, and he's looking up, and he's just meowing. He would do it for like 30 minutes straight. I'm freaked out because I'm like, y'all not going to go upstairs and check? Like, I've had a cat, and they'll let you know when something's around or when something's a little off.
Yeah.
And no, it's completely normal to them.
Yeah, pets can be like that. I've heard so many stories where like a dog or a cat will just be fixated on a certain corner of a room every time they're in it. And that is like a phenomenon too. People feel like cats have like a sixth sense.
Oh, 100%. I mean, now it can kind of benefit you if you're a scared person, because if something unexplainable happens, you can be like, oh, the cat did it.
Probably just the cat.
And it gets better as you have kids and stuff. Like, you start to think about ghosts less and less and less. But when I was pregnant, I had a cat named Whiskey, orange just like Garfield. And he would do the strangest things. Like, same thing. He would just stare into corners, and like he would sit in the dark. So like you're looking at this cat's eyes because they typically glow, and he's just sitting off in the dark, just staring up in the corner. I'm like, Whiskey, like, I'll do this, try to get him to come over. I'll even get snacks. And typically once you bring out the catnip, you're good. No, he was fixated on staying in the dark, staring at that corner. And that's the same house. This is Hagerstown, Maryland, that we lived around the corner from my husband's mom, where I was preparing dinner for everybody. And I had just took out some grapes. I put them on the counter. I put a plate right beside there. I literally told myself, I'm just going to go upstairs and get a diaper for my son. I'm going to come back down and get some grapes while I'm making dinner. The plate was gone. It was moved to the other side of the counter. First of all, I'm the only one in the house with the baby. Probably with a 2-minute span of me running upstairs and running back down.
Have you ever like woken up in the middle of the night and like maybe a closet door was open? Okay. Me specifically, my closet doors are always closed just because the moment one of them's open, I think something's going to be standing in it. So Olivia actually has a story like this too. She had a lot of traumatic experiences while she was sleeping. Like there would be like a bug in her room and it would always land on her face, or there's this whole creepy crawl space story. She's very like alert at night, and she does a lot to make herself feel better. For example, she'll put her laundry basket on the other side of her door. She would be able to hear like clattering and like be able to prepare herself. And she called me frantic at 2 a.m. because her laundry basket was away from the back of her door, terrified that someone was in the house. I'm sitting here like, babe, are you sure you didn't go to the bathroom at some point? Maybe you don't remember. And I feel like that's the same feeling of like something is really wrong, but I can't understand it.
Yeah, no. There's nothing that freaks you out more than when you're watching this stuff happen. Ever since the situation at my aunt's house, I cannot sleep with any doors open. And if they are open, the light has to be on. All the doors are shut. And to make myself comfortable, I have like 4 different night lights on plus the TV now that I'm, an adult and I pay my own bills. My husband doesn't share the same fears, unfortunately. So I will make myself comfortable, go to bed, and wake up to the door open. My first thought is that my husband did it, but then I get freaked out when he says that he did it. And I just keep having this eerie feeling that one of these times I'm going to see those creepy black hands
emerging
around
from the door frame. Yeah. The Babadook is here.
I'm going to die from a heart attack that day if that ever happened, God forbid. And I'm probably worse than she is because I cannot even go to sleep by myself. If my husband is not with me, I literally, a portion of our marital arguments are, you should have told me you were going to sleep downstairs because I would have slept with you.
Yeah, Olivia, sometimes if I'm like in another room editing where I'm just, not every night is a school night for me. So I might be up a little bit later sometimes. She'll usually have a TV playing just because she needs that feeling of company in the room.
Yeah. I have a TV on her. I'm scrolling on my phone. I just kind of like knock out. The only thing I don't like is when I wake up in the middle of the night because I didn't put myself to bed. I kind of just like fell asleep. So I wake up to get comfortable. And do you ever look at the clock when you wake up?
Yeah, for me,
like sometimes in the
a lot of times it's usually around 3 or it's around 3, 2, 1.
Exactly. And that's what I was just about to say. Often I've actually woke up at exactly 3 o'clock, which freaks me out because they all say that's the devil's hour.
The witching hour, yeah.
But more often than not, I can't remember the last time I've woken up around 4 or 5. It's usually around 3 something. And when I do wake up, I always have this eerie feeling like something's in the room with me. And that's why I woke up. Like I needed to wake up to protect myself. So last night, I'm staying up because I'm like, we're close to the weekend. I'm going to give myself some ample time to play my Switch a little bit. And I hear his feet coming down the steps. My 5-year-old, he's a little heavy foot. And so when he comes down the steps, he thumps, kind of like what you hear in scary movies. And it's the creepiest thing ever, but I try to deal with it. I walk over to the steps before he finally makes it down. And he's just staring at me. I'm like, hey, buddy, what's going on? He's like, no, Mom, room. And like my son does not articulate that way. He has a very huge vocabulary. So he would have said, Mom, can you come to my room? So it let me know he was still half asleep. He told me he wanted to sleep on the couch with me while I was downstairs. I'm like, no, I don't want you to wake up Sissy. Let's go ahead back upstairs. Plus, we don't want to leave your brother in the room by himself in case he wakes up. So I tucked him in. I ran to the bathroom and he starts screaming. So I'm darting to his room, pants hanging down. I'm like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? What's going on? He's like, Mommy, the 3 rings. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm like a tiny bit frustrated because like I'm literally in my kid's room with my pants down. I didn't finish peeing. I should have had a little bit more grace because I was his age once, and I didn't. I'm just like, dude, are you kidding me? You're half asleep, and I'm trying to dismiss his fear. Poor kid. And he's like, the rings. The rings. And I'm like, where? I was like, can you show me? So he starts pointing to the wall. And I was like, baby, I don't see any rings. And that's the worst thing, like a kid can hear, like I'm seeing stuff that my mom's not. And he's like, you don't see them? And like the crack in his voice of disappointment. And he's like, Mommy, they're right there. He's like, you don't see them? How don't you see them? I said, sweetheart, I don't see them. So like, he's fine. So I just lied to him. I was like, baby, maybe you pressed on your eyes too much. And sometimes when you do that, we see stars and you see stuff that's not there. And like, I was able to get him to go back to sleep. But Danny, I did not go back to sleep, more so because he woke up at 3:15 when that all happened. So I was like, yeah, it looks like it's going to be an all-night Switch night for me. And like our camera system, it's really good. Like during the day, it's colored. And then at night, because you need that night vision, it gets creepy. Some days I try not to acknowledge it, but I see stuff moving in the room on this camera.
It's getting real paranormal activity on those cameras.
Listen, I wish it recorded. I do not play. Like, you will never catch any of my limbs hanging off the bed. It's just not going to happen. And 2, I purposely tuck myself in. So I will tuck the blanket under my torso. So for that blanket to get pulled off, like I'm seeing something if that happens. I luckily have not run into that situation.
So going back to my story about the person standing in the curtain, it's funny you say that because not like a week or 2 later from that experience, I was sleeping in the same room and I had my right hand laying off the bed. It was part of the morning where it's like it maybe 6 or 7, the lights are starting to come on outside in the world and you're starting to like feel your awakeness a little bit. I felt a hand intertwined with mine, the hand that was laying off the bed, and it scared me so much.
You're kidding.
No, seriously. And I mean, the angle's impossible for there to actually be something down there. It's nothing but carpet, like maybe half an inch from my hand, but...
Yeah, but still, I swear that Hagerstown house I lived in, truly some stuff going in there. So we had this toy room that was right next to my toddler's room. Because like I said, I only had him at that time. And I had just conceived my other child. So you know those animals that you can get, like a dog, a zebra, or whatever, and the kid gets on it and it bounces. And as it's bouncing, it makes noise. Or more often than not, we would hear thumps in that room. And then I remember my husband heard a thump that was so loud, he wanted to go upstairs and check it out. He's like, what's going on? Like, the boys are downstairs. Like, was it our neighbor? I was like, just go check it out just to be sure. He gets midway up the steps, and then one of the toys go off. The only way for this toy to go off is he has to bounce on it.
It's so weird because it's different for everybody. Sometimes it's the thing that scares you, and other times it's just this completely random entity. You didn't conjure that weird little gnome incubus gargoyle guy.
No, they just come on their own. I mean, I believe in like hexes and voodoo and roots, specifically because I had an aunt that did it. She put voodoo on my uncle. She had always liked him and professed her love for him one day. Like, she put herself out there to say, hey, like, you know, I really like you. And he told her, you're a great friend, but making it very clear that them two would never happen. And she said she baked him a cake one day and put this voodoo stuff in it, and he ate it. And he fell in love with her from that day forward. I'm not even lying to you. They got married a month after he ate that cake.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, literally. I don't know what she promised to what, but she told me the sacrifice for it, I had to give up something of him. Like, I had to accept him with an imperfection.
Holy
and it was
shit.
his eye. Yes, he lost his eye.
That's one of the scariest things I've ever heard.
My grandmother's a minister now, but she did tell me that when she was in her teens, she played with Ouija boards, and she's the lady that started this family. So I think it's catching up to us and not her. And it sucks because I'm a cupcake. I'm a sweetheart. Like, why is it coming after us? I don't know.
Yeah, she opened the door. She signed you guys up.
Literally. She still has the Ouija board, but she forbid us from playing with it because that's when she was getting herself saved and things like that.
Yeah, that was a real thing for her. It's like, you don't touch the devil's doorbell.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't knock anything anymore. Like, if you tell me it happened, I'm believing you.
Yeah, I mean, after a year of doing this show,
I just remember when that Brim Hat situation happened. He is my most scary story because he probably was with me for about 10 or 15 minutes. I sat there, just he and I. Like I said, there's nothing like confirmation. I found his picture, and I just remember crying to my mom and just saying, Mom, this is who I saw. This is it. But I also remember the joy that I received when a documentary came out. I watched the entire thing, and I was just like, I can't believe other people, I'm talking in other states, have gone through this. It was a confirmation that I'm not crazy, because that's what everybody tries to chuck everything up to. Oh, you're crazy, because I can't open my mind up to understand how you had such an experience. I want to tell you about this ghost situation that happened with my mom. This was pre any of my instances. My grandmother had lived in this 5-story apartment building, and my mom was around 4 or 5 at the time. Apparently, a baby passed away in that apartment in her room. My mom's room was this baby's room. So every night, my grandmother said around 2 to 3, my mom would wake up screaming, there's a clown, there's a clown. And my grandmother said she would come into the room and there's no clown in there. So she's a little annoyed that my mom's waking up every night like this and there's no explanation. So one day, because she's not old enough to go to school yet, my grandmother went up to the bus stop, waited for the bus to come, and she talked to the bus driver. And so she began to tell the bus driver some of the things my mom was going through. And the lady was not shocked. She's like, you don't know what happened in that apartment? And my grandmother was like, no. And she said, well, a baby died in that room, specifically that room. Again, my mother's room was on the 5th floor, but every single night, this clown would climb up in her room through the window. And then here's the crazy thing. There was a rocking chair in my mom's room. It would sit in the rocking chair and sing to my mom every single night. Or it would sit in the ledge, one arm on top of the other, and just look smiling at her. It never harmed her, but it turned out that baby had a stuffed animal clown in that room before it died.
We've had a lot of scary episodes, but I think that might be the scariest individual story to just picture in your head.
It makes so much sense while I'm having some of the stuff that I have going on. My grandmother's doing Ouija boards, my mom's seeing clowns.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a greatest hits episode. Multiple lifetimes of paranormal stuff messing with your family.
My grandmother told me this one where she was a little girl. I don't know why this is a thing, but she was stealing sugar. She like literally would steal a spoonful of sugar and just eat it. I'm like, did candy not exist back then? Like, geez, like what's going on?
Nah, dude, sugar's
So
the bomb.
she literally, and so her room was in the basement. Upstairs from the basement, the kitchen was right there. So it was super easy for her to steal like a spoonful of sugar. One particular night, after her mom repeatedly told her to stop stealing, she's like, one of these times, like, the devil's going to get you. And that particular night, she stole some sugar. And she said that the devil visited her, and he had red eyes and a pitchfork, and he just kept stabbing at her feet. If she tells you the story, dude, it happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh no, grandma wouldn't lie to you. Like, this is real. I'm telling you, this is the reason I'm a minister today. And that's how she talks. He kept stabbing at her feet and was like, you want to keep stealing, little girl? You want to keep stealing? I'm going to give you a reason to steal. You want to keep stealing? She said she was crying, and she kept saying that she wouldn't steal anymore. She wouldn't steal anymore. He's like, I'm going to give you one more chance. You steal any more of that sugar, and you coming home with me. And she said she just remembers that when he left, she ran upstairs to her mom, and her mom was at the top of the steps before she even got all the way up there. It's like her mom knew.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know what spookiness was going on and what my great-grandmother conjured up to go visit my grandmother, but something happened because she said she never stole again.
You know what's funny? The idea of the devil just being like, we're planning the overthrow of heaven. We got to destroy the economy. We got to do all this evil stuff. But hold on, at 3 o'clock, I got to go scare that little girl that's stealing the sugar.
Literally, right? And that's what I'm just like, the earth in general, y'all are doing too much.
Thank you for coming on, India.
Yeah, of course. You have a great night and stay safe.
You too. And folks, we'll see you on the next episode.
Now those were some frightfully fun stories. Howdy everybody, it's me, your host Danny, and I wanted to let you in on something special. You might have noticed that when I introduce the show, I say we are the Hometown Horrors podcast. That's because there will always be at least 3 people in each episode. Me, the person who wants to hear a good story, the guest, the teller of a good story, and you, the listener, that takes that story and carries it with you out into the world. And we make up a special kind of trinity. We are the Hometown Horrors podcast. And if you ever want to graduate from listener to guest, reach out to us via our handle on Instagram, hometown_horrors_podcast. Our email is thehometownhorrorspodcast, no spaces, @gmail.com, or via text or phone call at 571-358-8880, which FYI is not my personal number, but give it a ring. I'll get back to you, because if there's anything I've learned from doing the podcast is that everybody has a story, and that story deserves to be heard. On your #1 source for the most spine-tingling, gut-wrenching, insomnia-inducing stories around, the Hometown Horrors Podcast.